This is Rick. Before I start the show, I just wanted to thank you for listening. Your emails, your comments, and reviews have meant the world to me. And I wanted to make it easier for you to support the show, so I've added a new support page to evolutiontalk.com. And if you'd like to leave a voicemail for use on the show, and you'll also maybe hear your own voice on an episode, you can do that there as well. You can send suggestions and even pick up some cool show-oriented items. I've partnered with TeePublic to offer Evolution Talk mugs, t-shirts, and some other items. Again, thank you. I hope to bring more episodes like the one you'll hear today for years to come. And now, on with the show.
There is grandeur in this view of life.
Welcome to Evolution Talk with Rick Coast, an introduction to the oldest story ever told.
There's something about bacteria that gives some people shivers. We wash our hands to get rid of that bacteria, as well as germs and viruses, which can also cause us harm. And washing your hands is a very good thing, don't get me wrong. Pathogens are everywhere. But we will never rid ourselves of bacteria. And like pathogens, bacteria is everywhere. But bacteria isn't always bad. It is ever present, though. It's on your pillow, your books, the earbuds, headphones, or even the speaker that you might be listening to my voice with right now. And as far as surfaces go, nothing is immune to bacteria, unless it's an antibacterial surface, of course. But it's not only on the surface of things. It's beneath the surface as well. And that's what we're going to talk about today. By the end of this episode, you may think of bacteria in an entirely different way. In fact, I guarantee that you will. Right now, at this very moment, your body is teeming with bacteria. As I said at the start of this episode, it's not always bad, especially when we consider the bacteria that resides inside of you. I'm not talking about bacterial infections. That's your body's response to a bacterial invasion. It's a battle at a microscopic level. But there is bacteria we should be very happy we have an alliance with. This bacteria lives in your gut. It's called your gut microbiome. It's also called gut flora, which is how I'll refer to it in this episode. And the number of bacteria it's composed of is in the thousands. All animals have a gut flora or microbiome, even insects.
Most importantly, if something goes wrong with your flora, something is wrong with you.
That was Professor Jeroen Reyes at a TEDx talk he gave in Brussels. And yes, your gut flora is a huge benefit to you, to us. In fact, it's fair to say it's essential. And by the time you reach the age of 2, you've already established a symbiotic relationship with the bacteria in your gut. It's a mutually dependent relationship. It enables us to synthesize various vitamins and also to process the food we eat. Now, this doesn't mean it lives in your stomach, though. Because of your stomach's high acidity, it's not a very habitable place for bacteria and other microorganisms. Imagine living in a pool of acid. You'll find some in the short intestines, but because your short intestines are so near your stomach, it's still not a place for your gut flora to thrive. That happens in the large intestines. It's far enough away for bacteria to set up shop and do their thing. It's there that they feed on nutrients necessary for their survival and fight off invading pathogens seeking to take advantage of those nutrients. It's really natural selection in action. When two different organisms compete for the same resource, well, may the more efficient one win. It's not always a battle, however. They love it there just as much as we should love having them there. Along with synthesizing vitamins, they help us digest starches, sugars, lactose, proteins, processed carbohydrates, and all those things that the body would otherwise have trouble with. And sometimes things go wrong. And when they go wrong, there can be trouble ahead for both your gut flora and you.
And so we can also think of modulating your flora, resetting your flora. Right? There's now a new thing called fecal. Well, it's not a new thing, actually. It's pretty old. Bedouins have used it for ages. But fecal transfer, transplanting a flora of a healthy individual into a diseased individual, actually seems to work as a therapy in some diseases.
That was Professor Yaron Reyes again. Fecal transfer has been with us for a very long time. Going back 1,700 years, the Chinese doctor Gi Hong used to feed patients experiencing diarrhea with a soup he called yellow soup. Now, I won't get into the ingredients because you can only imagine what it was made of, but it worked. And there's also evidence of camel stool being used to treat dysentery during World War II for German soldiers. And today, fecal transplant treatments can be taken orally with pills or an enema, and it has been successful in battling various intestinal infections. But back to our gut flora itself. As I said, it's been with us for a very long time. And by very long time, I mean the flora present in your gut evolved with us. It depends on us just as much as we depend on it. British-American microbial ecologist Ruth Lee has made studying our gut flora her life's work. She's currently serving as director of the microbiome science department at the Max Planck Institute for Biology. In a recent video from the Latest Thinking YouTube channel, she spoke about a study performed on twins specifically aimed at bettering our understanding of how we manage our gut flora, and also, somewhat surprisingly, how it manages us.
Our approach was to use a classical genetics approach, which is to study human twins. And you can use the fact that identical twins which are of course born at the same time share the same genome, comparing those to fraternal twins born at the same time, which share only half of a genome because they're more like normal brothers and sisters. So we teamed up with the Twins UK registry, which is run out of King's College London.
At the time, King's College had around 15,000 twins that they worked with. Now, of that number, over 1,000 pair of twins agreed to take part in the study. Now, that's not really a bad experimental set to begin with. The twins supplied stool samples, and from them, the team was able to extract DNA and set about examining the sequences. This helped them identify the bacteria contained in the stool samples. Now, here's an interesting aside for you. Between 60 to 80% of the physical matter that makes up your stool is bacteria. And I always thought it was food. But what the team found was that there is something in the human genome that sets the gut flora's bacterial levels.
So the first finding was a list of the microbes in the gut that are heritable, meaning when you look in the identical twins, you get more similar levels than when you look in the fraternal twins. That means there's a genetic component to their abundances. So there's something in the human genome that is setting the levels of these particular taxa now that are in this list. Now, the very top of the list is a family of bacteria called the Chrysanthillaceae.
Now, that's amazing, but it doesn't stop there. This bacteria, and I'm not going to even attempt to say it, I actually practiced doing so, and I pretty much get it wrong every time. It's called
Chrysanthillaceae.
Now, I'm just going to call it bacteria C to make it easier on myself. Anyway, what's more incredible is not only how our genome seems to set the levels, but how those levels in turn affect us.
What we're finding is that it's a general theme that there's more of these in lean people. So it wasn't just in our population, but if you look in other studies, other populations, Chrysanthillaceae and the things that it co-occurs with are generally more abundant in lean people than obese people. So here we have this association between Chrysanthillaceae, the things it co-occurs with, this nice consortium, and a lean phenotype in the humans.
I think I need to fill up on
Chrysanthillaceae.
Thank you. Now, to test this finding, they turned to our favorite little furry friends when it comes to lab tests. That's right, mice. The tests confirmed their findings. Now, my question is, could introducing
Chrysanthillaceae
as a probiotic help with weight loss? As Ruth Lee notes in the video, and it's really interesting, so you should check it out. There's a link in the show notes. It could be that bacteria C relies on other bacterium in the microbiome to accomplish what it does. So there's more study that needs to be done. Most recently, in a study just published in the journal Science, a team led by, again, Ruth Lee, discovered that the evolutionary ties between us and our gut flora are closer than we even thought. The strains present in our guts evolved and adapted to their environment to the point where they are not able to live outside it. As Ruth Lee puts it, they saw that some of the gut bacteria are further along the gradient towards irreversible host dependence than previously thought. Now, there were a few ways that I could have ended this episode. I realized that nothing I could say would ever beat the way Jeroen Reyes ended his TEDx talk. I'll hand over the stage to him to close us out.
Take-home messages. I only have two. One is take care of your friends. But the second one is you never have to feel lonely ever again. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Evolution Talk. I'm Rick Coast, and you can find show notes and source material used for this episode at evolutiontalk.com. You can also reach me at rick@coastmedia.com. And I hope your week is going well, and until next time, please take care of yourself.
Evolution Talk is a Rick Coast production.
Christensen, yeah, I give up.